Alright, I'm ready to start this thing. Howdy. Okay, on a personal note, I think I've had about a total of 19 or 20 hours of sleep in the last 72, so I'm a little tired, but I did find the courage and strength to go and see Catching Fire, the Hunger Games Catching Fire, I should say, since the freaking Lionsgate company thinks we're stupid enough to not realize that Catching Fire is related to Hunger Games. But then again, even I haven't read the books. I know that connection, but that's okay. The general public may not know. But I don't know what to say, except I've seen a lot of great movies this year. The Spectacular Now, Rush, Captain Phillips, Gravity, On Back. Side Effects was great back from February. Those are 5 films I know right now are most likely to land atop on my top 10 list. We're gonna add one more: Hunger Games: Catching Fire. I don't know what to say except this film freaking rocked it. I have not. Okay, to put it in context, a few years ago, I don't know if you know about my old channel, if you happen to know about it, but it wasn't very big, so you probably didn't. My favorite film of 2011, in my opinion, the top film of the year was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. And right away, when I was on vacation, actually, the film had just opened. I think we went on vacation. We literally left that Saturday after the movie opened. And I caught the midnight show, and I was so exhilarated after it was over, but at the same time I was kind of upset because I didn't want to see Harry Potter end. And I remember that next week my extended family joined up and I said, guys, I don't know how else to put this. This is the most entertaining movie I've seen in my life. I pretty much said that. Because, oh yeah, Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows Part 2, you laughed out loud, you would cry, you would be exhilarated from the action, you would feel the thrills. It was, wow. It's one of those, just like Star Wars, it's one of those adventures in movies, in movie going that you rarely experience. But yeah, I think Hunger Games Catching Fire is probably one of the next best things in this whole based on a book genre that we're getting now. I don't know what else to say. I have not read the books. I don't know if I said that yet or not, but yeah, this makes me want to read the books even more now, because I remember I did not rewatch Hunger Games, the first one, before this. I probably should have, but I was, it's pretty conscious enough in my mind that I didn't, when they were mentioning stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that scene. Like, of course, they constantly bring up the ending of the first film, they're about ready to eat the berries, and they say no. Wish Blue Lagoon would have ended that way. That would have been hilarious. But no, that's not going to happen. Anyways, so basically the plot of the film involves Katniss, Jennifer Lawrence's character, who, of course, as always, rocks this role. The best way to put this is Katniss Everdeen, or I should say Jennifer Lawrence is to Katniss Everdeen what Robert Downey Jr. is to Tony Stark / Iron Man. I mean, like, even if they get typecast for the rest of their careers, these two actors are going to be loved, no matter what. But yeah, of course, Lawrence has broken out of that, though. She showed, of course, last year with Silver Linings Playbook, and this year, I think, again, with American Hustle, that she can do anything. I think the best way to put it is she's our generation's Maggie Smith, or our generation's Barbara Streisand. I don't know how else to put it, but she's going to be a big star for years and years to come. So just don't screw it up, Jen. I don't know how else to put it. And Robert Downey, of course, he's going to find great works after this. After Iron Man, after he's all done with Iron Man when he's like 60. I hope he can keep doing it for a long time, because I'd love to see him through his 50s keep doing some Iron Man stuff, even if it's just smaller stuff, only Avengers movies. I still love him in the role. Okay, we're totally sidetracked, so we're going to get back on point. When I'm exhausted, somehow I go longer. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so basically Katniss and Peeta they're on their victory tour in the beginning of the film, which means they go around and they say their salutes and how they're glad to be part of this whole empire. Well, basically empire, but anyways, and under the close supervision of is it Professor? No, it's not Professor. God, I'm mixing up Harry Potter now. Sorry. Of President Snow. I knew it was a P word, but whatever. and if you watch my channel, you also see sometimes my slashing up the chart stuff. I did mention a lot of cast members in the film and how I think it's one of the best casts, ensemble cast that comes together for these movies. In a running series, of our current year and stuff like that. The way that we love to see the Harry Potter crew get back together. I don't know what else. The Toy Story crew. I don't know how else to put it. You get these series where you have these characters that you just love, and every time they come back, you just say, "Wow, I'm so glad to see that character again." It's pretty much the same way here with Hunger Games. When they introduce Haymitch, and they introduce Effie, and they introduce Gale again, and all these all the characters, you're just like, "Wow, I'm glad to see them again." And of course you love these characters. So it hasn't been since Harry Potter. I think when I walked out of the first Hunger Games, not walked out, and I didn't know, when it was over and I walked out of the theater, I said, this is the most excited I've been for a franchise building, past this point since Harry Potter. Or I should say maybe since Lord of the Rings, since Lord of the Rings came after Harry Potter just by a few weeks, but whatever, not the point. Anyways, basically they're on their victory tour, celebrating and stuff, and eventually they say, okay, it's time to start the Hunger Games again, and it's a quarter quell, which means, every 25 years they do stuff to kind of commemorate this whole event, they say, here, let's pick out all the people who have won who are still alive and say, now you have to compete. You're one of the 24. Come back and do it again. And yeah, I mean, this premise is exciting, I do have to say, because if you buy into this whole world of once every year 24 young kids come together to brutally murder each other, there was kind of a backlash after the first film came out, like in the weeks after it came out, where people were like, man, should we be subjecting even people above the age of 16 into this? Maybe we should keep it like a 20 plus or something. There were small bands that were going around like that, but anyways, that's not the point. Anyways, moving on. That premise, yeah, just the idea of victors coming back, the competition is much stronger. It's like, way to be a way to distinguish from the original. I mean, I think we have to credit the author, Suzanne Collins. Yes, that's it. All these different authors. You got J.R.R. Tolkien, you got J.K. Rowling, you got freaking Stephanie Meyer, you got bullcrap, and then we've got Suzanne Collins, and we got God knows what else. Yeah, you got to keep all these different things straight. It's impossible, I swear. Anyways, so just the way she structured the story like this is really well done. She really put a lot of thought into it, and you definitely appreciate when people think, and they make a story where it makes you think a little bit. Those are like the films like Inception and basically all those mystery films that really work, not just the cliche after cliche. Those are the films that sometimes you appreciate more than The Spectacular Now and Rush and other films like that just overall give you something, a heart feeling or such an adrenaline rush that it's like Argo last year. You just find stuff that you don't think about right off the top of the bat. When you come back to it, you're like, wow, this movie made me think. I mean, that's an incredible honor. It really is. So kudos to you, Collins, for doing that. Let's see. I don't know where else to start with this. Anyway, so then, yeah, Katniss and Peeta get back into the Hunger Games, and they're up for survival again. I don't want to spoil the rest of it, because, yeah, I went into this not knowing a damn thing. I just knew that from what the trailers had told us, that, yep, and I had heard, of course, I have a lot of friends who have read this. If you have any idea what my age is, I don't publicly display it, except on YouTube, so I don't say it in the videos, but on YouTube it's there. A lot of kids my age have read these books many times. This is pretty much the next graduating class is Harry Potter, if you know what I mean. Not necessarily a generation. I think we're still in the Harry Potter generation, but like 3, 4, 5 years from now, we won't be. I think we'll be living in the what comes next, I guess. What would be the next big fantasy or teen story that builds up so even the general public opens up to this and says this is a good story, like the way Harry Potter built and the way Hunger Games is building, and almost the way Twilight did. Whatever. No Twilight for me. Sorry. Not a big fan. So we're going to move on, but I do like Hunger Games. I was kind of iffy when I first saw the first Hunger Games. I'm like, am I going to like this? Even if the central character is a girl, which I don't care if it's a girl or a boy or whatever, but is the story going to be compelling? The story was definitely compelling. So I was very glad to go into this and continue with this franchise. And I said at the end of the first film, I said, wow, I cannot wait to see what they move on with now. Now, next November can't come quick enough. like next March, I'm gonna be ready to see it, and that'll probably be when we see the first teaser trailers and stuff, and then I'll be on an adrenaline rush every time it gets brought up. I'm almost to that point now with this franchise. I'm almost to the point of just please give me something for next time that really gives me hope for the next entry being as good as this last one was. And yeah, the best thing I can compare it to right now is actually Lord of the Rings, but I don't know if it's gonna get that good by the end, because you gotta say that Return of the King in this last decade of film was probably the best. I can't think of much else that came out between 2001 and 2010, or no 2000 and 2009. Sorry, people distinguish them so weird. I don't know, but. Anyway, I describe a decade as ends in 0, or starts with 0, ends in 9. Not starts with 1, ends in 0. Whatever, those are the standards I use. Go ahead, use yours. But yeah, between 2001 and 2010, or 2000, God, here we go again. Between 2000 and 2009, I couldn't really find a better film than Return of the King. I really couldn't. So that's that. But moving on, let's see. Let's mention. I'm going to start with the bad stuff, because there was literally, aside from a couple of things, I couldn't think of too much this film did totally wrong. The first thing is I felt the film was a little unbalanced in the way of equalizing before and during Hunger Games events. The before, I felt like they could have sped it up just a tiny bit. Like that scene where they're at the Capitol and they're celebrating, and there we go again. President Snow, God, President Snow. He's saying all this stuff, and then he shakes his head at Katniss. I think they show it in one scene in the trailers. I'm not going to tell you really what they say. Not to say it spoils anything, but I can't remember. Anyways, and I felt that scene. You see it in the trailers where the Effie character's chins up, smiles up, and whatever she says, or she says chins up, smiles on, something like that. And then they go and they, it's basically just a get-together. That scene and the whole thing on the victory tour, I felt could have been sped up just a tad bit. So in effect, it makes the picture feel longer, and it's already at just under 2.5 hours, and still, I think they could have tightened it just a little bit. But that's a very minor complaint. The other thing is, I think the film is really missing the point of the first film, which was to show the violence of kids killing kids. But then again, it is appropriate. It is appropriate to show now they're not kids. Now they're mostly adults killing other adults. But still, it is killing on killing, versus, killing on kids versus killing on kids. It's the same deal. So just the massacre and all this, but I felt like that they could have done a little bit more with that. Because the way the first film affects you with that, when they show, young kids getting killed, and you see all the bloodshed when they they cut them open and stuff. Even if it's really brief, you feel the effects of it. And Gary Ross, the director of the first film, they traded directors. He did that so well. And Francis Lawrence, I almost said Jennifer Lawrence. No connection, by the way, between Francis and Jennifer Lawrence. But Francis Lawrence really hit it hard with a few other things, though, like the stuff when you see it in the trailers too, where the squads are kind of beating on people who do the thing, hope or whatever. Isn't that what they do this? Yeah, I've not seen the first film enough to distinguish the reaction. But whatever. Really though, the way they show, you see it in the trailer, it's Gale getting beat up, and the way the guy who's beating him, then Katniss gets him, like he punches Katniss right in the face. That was a point. I was like, whoa. Yeah, that was one of those points where you kind of like, oh my god, Lawrence just hit it. And the actress Lawrence also hit it really hard in that sequence. But I was seriously waiting when the guy's like, I'll whip you again, and she said, go ahead. I was just waiting for her to say, make my day. I commented that when I first saw the trailer, they ended the trailer pretty much with her saying, go ahead. I was like literally waiting on like Pinterest or something or not Pinterest, sorry. What do you call it? Tumblr. Yeah, when they put up different stuff, and they add subtitles and stuff on to still pictures. Where you're just like, she's like, go ahead, and then it says ... make my day. I was just waiting for that because wow, I mean, it just reminds me of Clint Eastwood, and she looks and sounds like a Clint Eastwood moment right there. Yeah. So, but yeah. Let's move on to the positive. There's a lot of positives here. First of all, let's talk about the transition. The director of the last film, Gary Ross, was not brought back, and instead we have Francis Lawrence now. Okay, I love you, Gary. I love you, Gary. I love what you did with the first film, but Francis Lawrence is where this franchise is at. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the camera's not shaking in every 5 directions, every frame, every shot, or if it's just the way, he's smoothly directing it, or if the way the story progressed and he can just tell it better, or what it is. But Francis Lawrence, I think, is just a superior director here, and he can tell the story better. And maybe, because Gary Ross, I think I said this before, Pleasantville, the year that came out, I thought that was the best film of that year, and he should definitely have been on the list of best director. But he wasn't, so, that's a shame. I'm trying to think what else I want to mention. I want to go to bed, guys. I've been exhausted all day, but this film has given me such an adrenaline rush. Let's talk about the new characters. That's what I wanted to really talk about here, and maybe go into a little bit of length of. The new characters that get introduced, because in this film, Haymitch says it himself. He says, this isn't child's play anymore. This is, forget all about last year. This is new stuff. Basically he says you can have allies in this, and they can freaking help you survive until the last second if they have to. He pretty much says. So I'm like, yeah, that's a cool point to introduce alliances in a different way. This time it's like actual professional alliances, not just we'll help you for 5 seconds. Over in the first Hunger Games, and I'm doing this a lot. Over in the first Hunger Games, and they're like. I'll help you for a second. Boom! Betray. Stab them right in the back. Because they're kids. They don't know any better. Over here, they're adults. They're seasoned. They know how to they know how to win this game. They know that the longer, the Godfather 2 quote, you keep your friends close, but you keep your enemies closer. So you kind of think, and I was constantly thinking, and of course I don't know the story. Like I said, I was constantly thinking that one of them, when they form this alliance with other people, which I don't want to really spoil it for the people who don't know. This story and who want to go in fresh like I did, because seriously, when it comes to these reviews, if I can just take a second to time out here, I hate it, hate it when I watch YouTube videos and they and people just assume that if you're watching it, and even if the title doesn't say spoilers in it, they just assume that you've seen the movie, and they just take they pretty much just say everything that happens in the movie, and it kind of makes it a worse experience for you, and you can't go in as fresh, because even if you just mentally block that video, you still have to go and say, I know what's going to happen, I know what's going to happen. It's ringing through the back of your head, and it sucks when that happens. So, I don't know what I was telling you about, but even like a smaller detail like this of telling who makes it to form an alliance, that can really ruin it for some people. So I'm not going to tell you who it is, but basically there's this group of people, there's 4, then there's 5, and then I'm not going to tell you who dies, who joins, or what happens, but who lives, whatever, but pretty much all I have to say is all these new characters, when they were brought in the Alliance, I like them more and more and more. There's one character, a Finnick. I'll mention him a little bit because I think he was almost, of the new characters, he was almost my favorite. I'll put him third, sorry. I'll mention two other ones that I really, really liked. Like as much as the main three from the first Hunger Games, which is Gale, Peeta, and Katniss. The character of Finnick, his first scene, he acts like a total douchebag. And I think they display that really, really well, so that by the time they get to the games, his character changes. His character changes quite a bit. I'm not going to tell you if he dies in it or not, but again, I want you, if you're watching this, I don't want you to have to worry about me telling you anything that you don't want to know. I won't. I know. I know what you feel like. I'm feeling you, bro. I know. That's pretty much all I'm saying. Is I'm not going to tell you how far he gets, if he dies, if he lives through the whole thing, what happens, but then when he gets to the game, at least for a second, I could basically tell you, oh, he dies right when they start the games. For 1 second, he shows a sign of goodness in him, and I was like total character flip, and I was really surprised by it. Okay, then there's this character. Oh God, when I hear the name, okay, pretty much. If you see the movie, if you've read the books, I don't think they necessarily have it in the trailer, but there's this character, this girl character, who in her first scene basically walks up to Katniss and Peeta and Haymitch in an elevator and pretty much is complaining about how her outfit looks. She strips, changes, walks out naked right in front of him. I mean, right away I was like, I like this character. No, oh, hey, I'm not being perverted. I'm just saying, I like where this character's going. This is a new mix to throw in here. Like, this is a new ingredient to throw into the batch. And I was like, this will bring up some interesting contrasts here. And it really did, and it was very fun to watch that character throughout the movie. And it was another one of those characters you don't know, I'm just saying throughout the movie up to the Hunger Games, because then I don't want to spoil it whether or not she makes it. All right, then there was also this character called Beetle something, or was it Beedly or something? Okay, you know I'm gonna make a joke out of this. It was not Beetlejuice. It was not Beetlejuice. No, don't worry. Played by Jeffrey Wright. I love how I just know the usually in these movies the adults' characters' names and not anybody else. All I have to say is this character, as soon as they introduced him like early on, I was like, I want to watch this character and see him in his own movie. I was like, this character sounds like a very, I think the character's name is Leona, something like that. The one I mentioned earlier, just a minute ago. I was like, this will add a really nice contrast to the film, and the character did. Again, I'm not going to tell you, but he's basically the Bronze character. Or not the Bronze, or the Brains character. He's basically the character who has just basically wins mathematically. He's strong character though, I do have to say. I would love to see him get his own side story or something, to see him win, because just the story of how they tell when he won, I was like, oh, dude, just to see that, it's like, again, I'm not to say it's a major thing, but, the Haymitch is basically explaining to Katniss and Peeta, he's like, okay, here's what happens. That's it. And you hear it, and you're just like, whoa. It's a funny moment. Anyways, and that brings me up to the next point. There's actually some bigger laughs than I expected in the film. There's a few moments, just little quips of dialogue where I'm like, I was kind of chuckling to myself. But yeah, that, and then the next point, strong action sequences. Wow. Next thing I'm going to talk about, that's pretty much all I have to say about that, is wow. The action scenes were thrilling, suspenseful, really well done. The visual effects, the budget, the budget on the first film made it look embarrassing, like a little bit. A little bit like a home video. I'm sorry, it was like a direct-to-video almost sometimes, the visual effects looked. They bumped the budget up, the visual effects look very, very good. I'm almost to the point now where these visual effects, where I'm like, okay, this could break into the best visual effects Oscar category. We're talking now, Hunger Games could get some Oscar buzz. I do have to say though, there's a few sequences where bad things happen to people and they have makeup effects. The makeup looks really, really well done. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a nomination for best makeup. Then again, you've got some stiff competition though coming up. You got Hobbit, you got Rush, you got Lee Daniels the Butler. Those were the three I predicted in a video that you probably maybe haven't seen yet. But yeah, pretty much. This could break in. I would really love to see this get some Academy Awards attention because this was a really strong film. Let's see, just the characters that they brought back from the first film are great. Stanley Tucci, I thought, was every time he would laugh and like do that weird smile he does, from the first film. I would just laugh. It was very, very amusing to see him in this role. And Donald Sutherland is always great. Woody Harrelson. In the first movie, Woody Harrelson knocked me off my butt with how great his character was and how much gravitas he brought to the character. It's back here again and just as good. Whenever Haymitch is on screen, I'm like, I love this guy. I love this guy. Elizabeth Banks actually brings a lot more weight to her role as Effie this time. A little surprising, but that was okay. I feel like, of course, Gale, Liam Hemsworth, that's right. He's doing a good job still. I feel like they always give him the shaft though. They did in the first film. Not to spoil. It's not a big spoiler to say that he gets the shaft again in this film. And then Josh Hutcherson. He was kind of a thing in the first film. I was like, he passes, but he wasn't all that gripping for me. I couldn't really grab onto the Peeta character. I don't know what they did in this film, but somehow right off the bat, Hutcherson was way better. Like he nailed like his dialogue. He nailed it way better. I don't know if it was just him and Ross, and now with Lawrence he's much better, but I don't know. I don't know what it is, but yeah, he surprised me a little bit. Kenny Levitz did just as great. What's his character's name? Cinna. There's a little bit of surprise with Cinna. I don't know if it was in the book or not, but the way it happened in the film, it was almost like it was meant to shock you more necessarily than it just does intentionally, or unintentionally, I should say. But yeah, his character, yeah, he did a really nice job, and they kind of highlighted him in a couple of points, and that was very nice. I feel like I'm still missing somebody here in the main cast. Oh gosh, I'm thinking back through all the characters now. Because it's a 2.5-hour film. Oh, I know who I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about Philip Seymour Hoffman. Because I remember on my video, I was listening to all this cast, I forgot Donald Sutherland, kill me, and I forgot Philip Seymour Hoffman, kill me again. Because Philip Seymour Hoffman, talk about a method actor of the top class today working. I mean, you look at his performance, Capote, Doubt, The Master, which I have not seen, but just from the clips they were showing at Oscar and all the trailers I've seen, oh my god, this guy looks like he deserves that nomination. And all three of which he got Academy Award nominations for. He can just do it all. And in this film, some people said, wow, he's really going to depart from the Academy now because he hasn't won one since 2006. He must be really hating the Academy for going to a kids movie. That's what some people were saying. I'm like, no. I said, Hoffman, he knows what he's doing. This must be a really good script. If he picks it up, I mean, sure, he has confidence in it. So, he couldn't do any worse than he did in Twister, for Christ's sakes. Oh, that movie. Oh, God, his character in that movie. Moving on. Anyways, he had some really nice scenes as well. Whenever he was on screen with Donald Sutherland, I was like, ooh, we're getting some evil here. And his character, again, has a little twist to him, which is displayed in his first scene. And then, as you see in the trailers, he is an evil, conniving guy. He's got the master plan all laid out. Katniss has got to die, but I know exactly how to do it. Kind of like the one of those characters. So you're like, okay. And there's a little twist to him. I don't know. Yeah, again, I'm pretty sure it was in the book, but yeah, it was kind of a nice surprise. I'm like, that's a different role for Hoffman. Yeah. I don't know what else to mention. Just everything worked in the film, though. I seriously, by the hour and a half point or so, right when the Hunger Games start, I was like on the edge of my seat, and I was like, this is great. and everything just flat out worked. Everything worked. There was not one sequence in the film that really, aside from the Victories tour, that really brought it down. And even then, it wasn't like a horrible, horrible thing. Yeah, but I can't think of too much that I could have really wanted to change, except, yeah, add in what I mentioned earlier, but let's not backtrack too much. God, I don't know what else to say except bring on the Hunger Games, and as far as they're making the next film, may the odds of making this next film just as good or even better be ever in your favor. And they do that, and I think that's enough for this video. I'm tired. 10 out of 10. I'm almost guaranteeing at this point this is going to land a spot on my top 10 list. If not, then the end of this year is going to kick total butt. And we're going to have like all sorts of great stuff coming in. But even then, I don't know what else to say, except I want to go back right now. If I could, I would pay more money than I did the first time. I would sit and watch this again. I really would. I really seriously would. Because this is just a flat-out amazing film. I'm glad it's done very successful over the weekend. And here's hoping that Mockingjay, which I swear to God, what is it? Okay, Lionsgate, 1 second. What is it with splitting the last one into 2 parts? Okay, Harry Potter, 700-some page book. Understandable. Twilight. Also, same deal, like whatever page, I don't even know the page number on that. 2 parts. Understandable, but you're kind of ripping off Harry Potter now, but okay. I'm sure you could have crammed it into 1 and it would have just been a nice, long 2.5-hour film that would have satisfied the fans. Then you do Mockingjay, which, as I understand it, is only like 400-some. About as long as the other 2, which are 3 and 400 or something like that. Something like that. No. 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 Just don't do it. Just, I would, if I woke up tomorrow and heard the announcement that Hunger Games Mockingjay, I almost said Hawkingjay, oh boy. If Hunger Games Mockingjay was split, the split was done, they were only going to do 1 movie, I would be jumping up and down, peeing my pants excited. Okay, maybe not peeing my pants, but whatever. I would just be like, yes, because I have a feeling this next movie is only going to be like an hour and 20 minutes. Then the next one's going to be like an hour and a half, and I'm just like, Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings can do it. Which, by the way, The Hobbit, too, is another thing, but I've already mentioned that. Okay, so, I am really, really behind on uploading videos. Let's see, I've got Rush, Thor the Dark World, my 3-part Oscar video, and now this to upload. So I've got 6 videos to upload right now, actually, as I speak. I'm uploading the Slashing Up the Charts video, which got up really late, unfortunately. But hopefully I'm going to have some time here. Maybe not today. Probably not tomorrow. But with Thanksgiving weekend coming up, I'm not going to be too busy. If anything, I'll just go see Hunger Games again, and then the Disney movie's opening, Frozen. And it's getting some really strong word of mouth, really positive reviews, and it doesn't really look like my necessary brand of film to go to, because it kind of looks a little small kiddish, but I don't know. Not saying I'm necessarily going to go see it just because of the reviews, but now that the reviews are in and they're really strong, I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe I'm watching the TV spots and the trailers a little closer now. I'm kind of digging what the story is, but like some people are comparing it to the best movie since Disney movie since Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid and Aladdin and Lion King. I'm like, okay, there must be something here. So possibly that's coming up. Otherwise, nothing until The Hobbit, and yeah, that's going to be hopefully a really exciting review. And hopefully it's not the same case as Unexpected Journey, which was. I'm thinking about. I have not actually, to tell you the truth, I have not seen Unexpected Journey since I saw it in the theater. Yeah. So maybe I should just sit back and watch that again and maybe take a fresh perspective on it, because maybe I'm just being a little harsh on it, but I don't know. We'll see. So with that, and then there's a couple other movies coming up in limited release that actually are in my driving distance that I can go see. So I think that's going to be it.